What's going on, everybody? So, I want to make this video because I thought it was very important, to share this with you guys. And what I want to share with you guys is actually something that is very alarming. And it's concerning with people with trauma. Guys, be very careful with people with trauma. Okay? When people have trauma in their life, unfortunately, they're going to project it on you. Okay? Now, what does this mean? This doesn't mean that you should, treat that individual with disrespect, or you should curse them back out, or you should treat them in any old manner, right? What that means is you need to distance yourself and give that person their space so that they can heal from whatever it is that they're actually going through. All right. One thing with trauma is something that, you can't fix for nobody. You cannot fix trauma in nobody. Okay. That is something that they are going to have to fix for themselves. And one of the biggest issues that, I have with meeting people, whether it's male or female, is that, if you do something wrong, or if they think that you do something wrong, instead of them trying to talk it out and work it out, they call you all sorts of names because they trying to, they think that you're just the next guy or the next person that did them wrong. When in reality, that wasn't the original intent. But, because people are stuck in their ways, and because, they have a lot of trauma and they got a lot of shit going on in their life, they try to make it seem a lot like you're the problem. And they create this narrative in their mind and in their head like you're the problem when, it's not you, it's them. And you just kind of have to just distance yourself, away from these people, especially people that, experience that level of trauma in their life. Because one thing with trauma is, right, when you're dealing with somebody with trauma, what's going to happen is they'll never take accountability. You know what I'm saying? Like, it'll never lead to that person wanting to be accountable for their actions and accountable for what they do. It's going to cause them to always spin this narrative in their brain and in their mind that they're always right. And these people really need help. Like, it's so crazy to me. And that's why for me, I always keep receipts. I always keep receipts because, I know that these situations can happen. And if you don't keep receipts, these people will try to find any way possible to pin you down, whether it's with law enforcement or etc. This is why, any action y'all take, y'all always gotta always keep proof and backup. Always keep those receipts, man, because it's tough out here, especially with meeting new people and, dating in general and going out. It's crazy. So it's a very unfortunate reality because, when somebody goes through trauma, right, that person may not necessarily be a bad individual, right? They're not a bad person. It's just that, unfortunately, they had people that did them wrong. And mind you, let me explain this to you, right? They never deserve that. You know what I'm saying? People that have been through trauma and have bad experiences, nobody deserves that. Nobody deserves to go through something like that, right? But you do have wicked people in this world, because somebody that has trauma, obviously somebody caused that or inflicted that pain and that heartache on them, right? So it's one of those things where, that trauma is not really trauma that is their fault. It's trauma that's caused by a shitty person or a no good person. And then it's kind of unfortunate because when they finally do meet somebody that's good, whether it's a friendship or relationship or anything, right? Then they try to use that trauma against that good individual. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like that good individual was never really your enemy to begin with. You know, that good individual has always really been solid, has always really been, had good intentions and had good intent with you. But it's like you never really gave it a chance. You never really gave it an opportunity. And I think that sometimes people with trauma, they tend to jump to conclusions way too quick before giving that individual a chance. And this is why the one solution to this problem, let me tell you what the solution to this problem is. And I'm talking to all the folks out there, to all the grown folks out there, to people with trauma. If you have trauma in your life, please understand this. I got love and I got respect for you, but you need to get help. You need to get help. A lot, like one of the common things with people with trauma is, they feel like they're right in their mind, but that person that inflicted pain on you and really caused heartache on you, you have to learn to re-love yourself again, man. You have to gain that level of confidence back where you can go out and meet people and understand that, every situation doesn't mean that, oh, that individual is a bad person. Just because you done experienced, someone previously that has caused you that type of pain or that type of heartache, right? So when you see little things, you tend to overreact too quick because of that trauma that you're going through. You think that this person that you met, this new individual that you met, you think that they're your enemy because of the trauma that you've been through. Listen, man, trauma is not a good thing. It's not a good feeling. Like, I understand that. And a lot of times it's not your fault, but you gotta be the one to heal from it. You gotta be the one to get help. You have to heal from that. You got a lot of healing to do. You know what I'm saying? So, I just don't want people to, to go out there in the world and trying to just put blame on everybody, right? And not realizing that, you're the one that need healing from what you're going through. You know what I'm saying? So, for the ones that are healed and for the ones that, have not gone through any serious trauma, right? These are the people that know how to take accountability. These are the people that, know how to say, okay, you know what? Yeah, I'm wrong. But, it's like people with trauma, that's one of the biggest things that come with it. So this is why, if you're someone, and my advice to anybody, right, that is not going through trauma, all right, my advice to you is, if you meet somebody, whether it's a friend, right, it could be anything, a friendship, or you meet somebody and you're thinking about wanting to be with that person, you have to understand that there's a lot of healing that traumatic person has to go through before you can even think for yourself that you can have any sustainable relationship or anything sustainable with that person. You have to kind of think that for yourself. Like, you have to think like, okay, you know what, I see that this person has some trauma. Should I jump into anything too quick or too soon with that person? You see what I'm saying? So you have to ask yourself these questions, and you have to sit down and have a talk, with the individual to decide if you want to enter into a friendship or if you want to enter into, any type of, anything substantial, with that individual, right? So listen, this is not to bash people with trauma, okay? This is to, to help people that are going through whatever it is that they're going through, to understand that, not everybody's your enemy. Like, not everybody's your enemy. Don't make everybody out to be your enemy, bro. Just because, you've been treated bad and you've been treated wrong, you have to understand that people make mistakes, man. Like, people really make mistakes. People make mistakes, and people have, have genuine, may have a genuine interest in being with you, but, you may not see things the way how they see it. And you got to understand that, when you're somebody that goes through trauma, any little thing can set you off. And if you're somebody who's like that, before you decide to form a friendship, even just a friendship, you gotta seek help first. Like, real talk. You gotta seek help first. All right. That's all I got to say about that. But if you know anybody out there, man, that's going through some serious trauma, or any heartache and pain, just pray for them. Like, say a prayer for them, and uplift them, keep them in your hearts, keep them in your spirit. And don't get there and be upset with them, and don't curse them out, or don't call them out their names. Don't be angry with them. You just gotta understand that, like, you gotta separate yourself from them just for a little bit, right? And then hope that they can get the necessary healing that they need. And then after a while, maybe you can come back and see what's up. All right. But anyways, it's good talking to you guys. Let me know, guys, what you think in the comment section down below. Subscribe to the channel, man.